Okay, so today I'm doing my weekly vlog talking all things Mr. Francy between the 13th and the 21st of January 2024. So I'm going to start off with my reading and, well, January as a whole for me so far has been very up and down with my reading. I've read some really amazing books, and at the same time I've also read some books that have been, well, rather average, to be honest, and I guess, it's one way to start 2024, isn't it? Just to have a bit of a mixed bag. So let's look at the first book that I read this week, and that was this book, Death of an Italian Chef by Lee and Hollis. This is book number 14 in the Haley Powell Food and Cocktail Mystery Series. It is an adult cozy mystery, and I gave this book a total of 5 stars. Yeah, so this is the longest series, let alone cozy mystery series. It's the longest series that I've read so far, and I'm very close to being all caught up. There are currently 16 books out. There will be 17 by the end of the year, but give me another couple of months and I'll be up to date with where things sit at the moment. Overall, I love this series, and this book was no exception. So the basic premise of this one is, as the food and cocktails columnist for the Island Times, it's Haley Powell's job to stay on top of the latest eateries in town. Chef Romeo, a successful restaurateur from New York City, has opened an establishment called, naturally, Romeo's. When the chef actually does suffer a mild heart attack, he ends up sharing a hospital room with Haley's brother Randy, who's there for gallbladder surgery. Chef Romeo has tasted Haley's cooking and asks her to take over his restaurant while he's laid up. But this temporary gig may turn permanent after the chef dies from complications. Only thing is, Randy tells a different story. He might have been sedated. But Haley's bro swears he saw someone come into their room and put Romeo out of his misery. So to my thoughts, this was a pleasure and a joy to read. I am so happy this series was recommended to me once upon a time, and I'm only sad that I am so very close now to being up to date with the series. I loved the Italian restaurant cozy side of this book, as well as the Italian-themed food in Haley's column. The mystery was intriguing, especially given Randy's involvement. One con was that Sergio, Randy's boyfriend, was not in this one, but he should be back in the next one. Bruce, Haley's partner, wasn't with Haley in this one, but I didn't really miss him, to be honest. It was a great book, and while I don't want to be up to date as I'd need to wait for the next book to be published, I am very much looking forward to reading book 15. I highly recommend Death of an Italian Chef, and as I said earlier, I gave it 5 stars. So the next book that I read was this book, The Raven King by Nora Sakovic. This is book number 2 in the All for the Game series. It is, well, claimed to be a YA LGBTIQ plus book. We'll get to that in just a moment, because Miss Francy definitely disagrees with that categorization, and I gave this book 4 stars. Okay, so yeah, before I get into what the premise is and what my thoughts are on The Raven King, this series, All for the Game, is pegged as a YA LGBTIQ plus series, and having read 2 of the 3 books in this series, I have to disagree. I have read the majority of the series, and it's not an LGBTIQ plus book. There are moments where side characters may discuss their sexuality in a very minor way, but it's I don't know, it's really weird. It's like saying that a book is a romance where you follow a protagonist, a guy, who has a friend who's a girl. She ends up in a relationship, which is very much a side thing, because it's the guy that we're following, his friend, in a relationship, and it's a romance. Well, no, that would more be well, depending upon what the main theme is, a contemporary, for example, that has a side romance in that contemporary. That's what I view this series to be. It's a contemporary sporting series. It's not an LGBTIQ plus series at all. As I say, we have a side character who is gay, and I think we have another character who is asexual. But it's not about, like, LGBTIQ plus books that I've read, they revolve around, you know, gender and sexuality and things like that, and whether they become a romance or not, these you know, hard-hitting contemporary topics will come up to do with their gender, their sexuality, things like that. That is not the case with this book. It's like finding a needle in a haystack to find anything to do with the LGBTIQ plus community in this series. So I do feel it's very much been mislabeled and should be referred to as a YA contemporary sporting series. But anyway, let's get into the premise of book 2. So the premise is Rico is intent on destroying Neil's fragile new life, and the Foxes have just become collateral damage. Neil's days are numbered, but he's learning the hard way to go down fighting for what he believes in. And Neil believes in Andrew, even if Andrew won't believe in himself. Now, you can definitely take that premise and run with it, thinking, oh yes, I can see how this is a male-male romance, but it's absolutely not. These are contemporary themes that come up in this book and have no links to romance whatsoever. But anyway, they're just great teammates, honestly. So we follow this XC team. XC is really, really hard to explain. It's like a cross between soccer and lacrosse and something else. But anyway, what we mainly get with this series, there is more to it than what I'm saying, but what we mainly get is to experience the team, the Foxes team, which is a college predominantly male team. There are 2 females on the team. And we get to experience the camaraderie and the culture of the team as one, but also we get to learn more about each individual member of the team, as they all have completely different and varying backstories. The team came about because the coach wanted to recruit players who had a very tough upbringing and wanted to give them a second chance. So you have all of these second chance people coming together, and obviously that will create for very interesting dynamics, which it absolutely does. But yeah, LGBTIQ plus, no. Even if the premise makes it sound like it, no. Okay, so to my thoughts on this second out of 3 books, and first off, as I say, it's important to note that the series, at least to this point, is woefully miscategorized as LGBT. Yes, there are some incredibly minor LGBT things that come up in this book, and only one minor character saying I'm gay in book 1, but really this should not be mistaken for an LGBTIQ plus book, but rather simply a sports contemporary. In saying that, I loved the camaraderie of the Foxes in book 1 and continue to love it in book 2. Everyone in the team is different, have different backstories, and interact with Neil, our main character, differently. And I truly appreciated that. There is a massive trigger warning for this book, so please do be advised. Trigger warning for sexual assault. You don't see the assault itself, but you do see the aftermath in a very graphic way, so do be mindful of that. That aside, the ending was interesting, and I'm intrigued to see what will happen now after what happened between Neil and the Raven Boy, which we still don't know most of. Yeah, so again, I'm going to try and say this in a spoiler-free way, but one of their competitive teams that they play in the sport of XC, that the Foxes, that we follow, the Foxes play, are the team called the Ravens. And, I mean, the Ravens, it's like Nora Sakovic said, I've read a lot of Edgar Allan Poe, so, you know, we're going to make the Ravens very much like The Raven, you know, Edgar Allan Poe's poem, because they're always, wherever they are, if it's on the court or if it's, you know, at a social function or whatever, they're all dressed in black and they act very, like the Raven. Like the poem, The Raven. But one of the Raven boys has something on Neil, and Neil ends up having to travel interstate to see him because he is going to blackmail Neil if Neil doesn't come over. Neil goes back after that experience happens with him and the Raven boy, and we know that something happened, but we don't know what it was. So I'm sure it will be unpacked in book 3. And Yeah, so that makes sense with this one being called, excuse me, The Raven King, and the final book is called The King's Men. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in book 3. But anyway, I gave this book 4 stars. Based on it being an LGBTIQ+, it would get 1 star, but putting aside the clearly miscategorization of LGBTIQ+, and just judging the book on its own merits, 4 stars. I really enjoy the camaraderie. I love all of the teammates. It's a great book, but if you are going into it, once again, do be mindful of that trigger warning, sexual assault. As I was saying earlier, you don't see the assault itself, but you see the aftermath in a very graphic way. So do be mindful of that. 4 stars from me. And the final book I read this week was this book, Farm to Trouble by Amanda Flower. This is book number 1 in the Farm to Table mystery series. It is an adult cozy mystery, and I gave this book, very sadly, 3 stars. Now, I have a goal to have one of the shelves on one of my bookshelves be completely filled with nothing but Amanda Flower books, and just going off my SAS list, that will definitely happen with some overflow. So I'm looking forward to that day. But I have read, I think, about 4 different Amanda Flower series prior to coming into this one, being the first book in this particular series. And some of them I truly love. Like, I love Amish Candy Shop so much. I love the Magical Bookshop so much. But then there are other series that I don't like, such as the Magic Garden mystery series. I really did not like that one at all. And Amish Matchmaker was okay. So, you know, if I was going to rank them, it'd be in first place, Amish Candy Shop is number 1. Then number 2 would be Magical Bookshop. Number 3 would be Amish Matchmaker, and number 4, like, or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 would be Magic Garden. I really just did not like Magic Garden. And this one, I kind of felt the same way. I didn't love it, I have to be honest. But anyway, so yeah, the premise for this one is that Shiloh Bellamy cashed in her big city job and 401k to return home to Michigan to save the family farm, but turning Bellamy Farms into a sustainable organic operation, complete with a farm-to-table cafe, is no small feat, especially when her new investor is found dead among the flowers just hours after the contract is signed. Now, Shiloh must clear her family's name and track down the real killer before her organic farm dreams wilt before her very eyes. Look, I'll be completely honest, I am not at all someone who knows really anything at all about the whole farm-to-table experience. So one of the things that compelled me about this series was because I was looking forward to the fact that Amanda Flower was going to give me that experience. But I walked away from the book thinking, yeah, I just don't think this is the cozy theme for me. So, yeah. I picked up this book because I'm trying to read all of Amanda Flower's works, but sadly the cozy side just did not work for me at all. The mystery was okay though, and the ending has provided potential growth for within the series, so I appreciate that. And I ultimately gave it 3 stars. So I will continue on with the series. I already have Put Out to Pasture, which is book 2. I already have that physical book ready to go for next month. But, yeah, for me, it just, wasn't the best. 3 stars. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about other things like TV and life update and all that. So if you're just here for the reading portion, thank you so much for being here. I hope you're enjoying your reading, and I'll see you in the next one. And if you are here for the TV and life update, then let's begin. Okay, so I've been watching a lot of different TV stuff. And first one I want to mention is RuPaul's Drag Race latest season, which is season 16. I have seen the first 2 episodes. By the time you see this video, I will have seen the 3rd one. I just haven't seen it yet. It came out, at the time of recording, it came out yesterday. Yeah, look, I'll talk very quickly about it. So, the first 2 episodes were a 2-part premiere, which they've done in the past. I remember them doing that for the first time in season 6 in Bianca Del Rio and Adore Delano and Courtney Act's season. They split it and then introduced a certain number of the queens that were competing in episode 1 and then the rest in episode 2. But the difference between season 6 split premiere and this one is that in season 6, someone went home in the first 2 episodes. So like someone went home in episode 1 and someone else went home in episode 2. In season 16, no one went home. And also we have this whole Raider Queen thing going on where the queens themselves were determining who would be in the top and who would be in the bottom. And with no one going home, they were practically, in the end, ultimately determining who was in the top, and who would lip sync for the win. But, and the win, grants you immunity, which they haven't had immunity for a while. It definitely feels like production, on Drag Race are trying to change things up because, 16 seasons in, we need to change things up, and so they have. I like the idea of the whole Raider Queen. If they keep it up and they determine the bottom two, it will be very interesting to see how that would play out and all the reasons behind why they rate each queen where they do, each of the competitors. As far as the immunity thing, that's interesting. I'm still trying to wrap my head around what's going on with the immunity because I feel like the immunity is meant to keep you safe from elimination, but some of the queens are talking like it will mean you don't have to do a certain challenge. So you could use the immunity at the start of the episode. So say if Snatch Game came up and you didn't want to do that challenge, you could play your immunity right away at the top of the episode and say, I'm just not going to do this challenge because I have immunity, which I don't like that idea. So I'm hoping that's not the case. I hope it's a thing of like we've had with past immunities, with, what was it? With Alyssa Edwards in season 5, the last time we had immunity. It's like, Alyssa, you have immunity this week, so you are safe. But she was lucky because she would have been in the bottom 2 that week with her Katy Perry impersonation. So, yeah, excuse me. So, I have a bit of a tickle in my throat, so forgive me. So it's going to be interesting to see how things go with season 16, and we'll see from there. Are you watching Drag Race and season 16? And if so, let me know what you think in the comments below. But RuPaul's Drag Race season 16 doesn't excite me anywhere near as much compared to The Traitors USA. It has returned. Season 2. I am so happy. I love The Traitors. I remember watching The Traitors Australia season 1 and loving that, and then finding out that there was going to be an American version. The Australian version of The Traitors had unknown people. Season 1 of USA had celebrities, and season 2 has that as well. But that still works for me because you have a lot of reality show people that I know. Majority of the ones I know being from Survivor and Big Brother. So yeah, I love The Traitors. I'm so happy it's back. I loved that Sari and, oh gosh, what was her name? I can't think of her name. Stephanie? Yeah, Stephanie the Grocer. Sari and Stephanie were, from Survivor, were in season 1, and, Cody was in, no? Yes, Cody was in season 1. I'm trying to remember which season is which. Yeah, Cody was in season 1 as well from Big Brother. And in season 2, we have Parvati, which makes me so happy. I loved Parvati, especially on Survivor Micronesia. I loved her and her whole Black Widow Brigade thing that she had going on. So I'm so happy that Parv is in this episode, in this season. We have Sandra, the queen of Survivor. I love Sandra as well. Apparently Parvati and Sandra don't like each other, but it makes for great TV. And then we have, Dan from Big Brother, who was a massive strategist back in his day on Big Brother. So I got into Survivor first, and because Survivor used to be on Australian TV, I think with Big Brother USA, they had season 1 came out here in Australia, and then it didn't rate well, so they stopped showing it in Australia. But I've found other ways that I can stream it, which is good. And I've tried to catch up with all the Big Brother USA seasons because I love Big Brother USA. But anyway, so yeah, we have Dan as well, and I'm not going to give away spoilers, but I am so happy that The Traitors is back, and I'm so excited to see what happens. I really hope that Parvati makes it far. I hope that Sandra makes it far as well. I'm really intrigued to see what happens with Dan because he is such a great strategist, but the faithful do seem to be on to him a little bit, so we're going to see what happens there. And Phaedra, who I've never seen before, but Phaedra is amazing in the show, so yeah, love her as well. Yeah, really intrigued to see how this season goes, but I love The Traitors, and I'm so happy that it's back. I haven't really seen a lot of Vampire Diaries. I may have seen 1 or 2 episodes, but that's because of everything else I've been watching, so I just haven't had time, but at some stage I'll be getting right back into Vampire Diaries and probably binge like a whole 10, 20 episodes, and then move away and watch whatever else. But another show that I'm watching, this is a rewatch for me, and it has just been the perfect time for me, is the classic seasons of Will and Grace. I love Will and Grace. That show is so funny. I started with I was thinking about an episode that is called The Big Vent. I don't remember what number it is, but it's in season 1. And I finished watching, I was thinking about that episode, so I decided to watch it. And when I got to the end of that episode, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm so in the mood for classic Will and Grace right now, that I just kept going. And I'm now about halfway through season 2 of Will and Grace, and really, really enjoying it. Oh my gosh, the way that these actors bounced off each other, Megan Mullally and Sean Hayes as Karen Walker and Jack McFarland are so hilarious, and Deborah Messing and Eric McCormack as Grace Adler and Will Truman bounce off each other really well. They're more the foundational, the A story that we're following, compared to Megan Mullally's Karen and Sean Hayes' Jack doing the whole B story that we do. But oh my gosh, I am laughing so much watching these shows, and laughter is the best medicine, so it's just been fantastic to watch. Okay, so that's practically been me TV-wise. Oh, I've also been watching tennis. I mean, you watch tennis on TV. It's not really a TV show, but anyway, I love my tennis. So we're having the Australian season, the Australian summer of tennis happening. It began on the 1st of January, and at the moment, we're currently in the Australian Open. So I live in Melbourne, which is where the Australian Open takes place, in case you're a tennis fan. I live maybe about 45 minutes drive away from where the tennis is being held. I have a wonderful streaming service where you can watch any court at any time, and I've been having a lot of fun watching my tennis, which has been, just fantastic. I'm getting behind my number one male tennis player, which is Taylor Fritz of the USA. I love Taylor, so he's doing really, really well, and I'm really happy for him. Who knows how he'll be doing by the time you're watching this, but at the time of filming, he's doing well. Alex de Minaur is the pride of Australia. He is doing incredibly well at the moment as well. I love Irina Sabalenka from the women's, and at the moment, she's also doing very well also. And a lot of other players as well. Carlos Alcaraz, we love Carlito, he's fantastic also. So really enjoying my tennis as well. For a very quick life update, what can I say about in regards to a life update? I was on annual leave in this last week, which was really nice for me. I go back to work tomorrow, and I'm experiencing a little bit of anxiety, going back to work after being away for a week. It's like, gotta get back to work, gotta go to bed early, make sure I wake up on time, all that sort of stuff, because I have been going to bed at the most odd hours. Like, I've been going to bed at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., waking up, halfway through the day while I'm on annual leave. So that's been something, and now tomorrow I start at 8 a.m., so it's not like I'm doing my 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. shift. I'm doing an 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. shift. So it's like, okay, gotta go to bed early tonight. But I've really enjoyed the annual leave, and everything that comes with annual leave, not having to go to work. It's been fun. I think that's everything. Oh yeah, so I went, just a quick side note for those of you who don't know, I've been dealing with a lot of different things over the course of my life. Who doesn't? And a couple of years ago, I realized that one of the most major roadblocks and obstacles that I deal with in my life is anxiety. I ummed and ahed for a very long time with regards to what to do with my anxiety. I didn't want to go and talk to the doctor about it because I didn't want to be quote-unquote medicated. But I had to go and see my doctor on Friday, the Friday just gone a couple of days ago. And while I was there, which was on a completely unrelated thing, I brought up my anxiety, and we had a fantastic chat. And I just wanted to, let you all know what's going on because it's part of the life update. Yeah, I was prescribed some medication for my anxiety, which is the first time that that's ever happened for me. So I'm going to be intrigued to see how that goes and if it does help me. I've been told that it takes a minimum of 3 weeks to see any sort of results. So that's fine. I've only, taken the medication for 2 days so far. So, yeah, we'll see how all of that goes. And yeah, I'm going to go and do some counseling for my anxiety as well. And I'm really happy about that. You may think I might be anxious about the counseling, but I actually think it's a good thing to just try and talk about it with a professional and see what we can do. My anxiety stems from all different things. Part of it is PTSD that I really don't want to get into, but some things happened, about 10 or so years ago with me. Yeah, I was in a fantastic relationship. It wasn't really fantastic, but yeah, we'll use the word fantastic. Anyway, and that has brought about, it resulted in some, lingering PTSD for me, and that can result in some triggers that lead to my anxiety. I am not good with not knowing what is coming. So, if you're put in a situation where someone says, okay, so something big is going to happen tomorrow and we'll talk to you about that tomorrow, a lot of people would say, yep, no problem, we'll talk about it tomorrow. Not me. My mind is racing a million miles an hour going, no, you have to tell me now. If you don't tell me now, I'm not going to sleep right now because I need to know what the thing is that you're not telling me right now. You can see by me about anxiety. So it's that. I also have social anxiety, which is really weird because for me, it's really weird to think that I have social anxiety because I love people. I always wanted to study to be a human anthropologist, studying human nature and all that kind of stuff. I love people, but when I am in big crowds and things like that, my anxiety goes up to 100. So yeah, that's kind of sad. Maybe I'm just good with people one-on-one. But anyway, yeah, so all different reasons why I might experience anxiety, and hopefully this is going to help with that. So yeah, just so you know, I don't say this for sympathy and I'm not saying it because I'm in a really bad place or anything. It's more a good thing for me, and I'm just sharing it with you all in the spirit of true transparency, letting you know what a life update is for me. And yeah, it's great. I'm happy that I've been prescribed something and that I'm going to go and do some counseling and really try and get on top of this anxiety, which has been a major roadblock for me for quite some time now. So there you go. All right, that's where I'm going to leave it for this weekly vlog. I hope you're all doing okay, and yeah, and that you're enjoying your reading, and I will see you all in the next one. Letting you all go with peace, blessings, and so much love. Please do be kind and love one another, and spread your sparkling energy all throughout the world. And until next time, happy reading. Bye, everyone.